It's vital that we build a daily routine around moving our joints at the widest range of motion. Not only is this healthy and leading to longevity and pain-free joints, it's going to help you in your training, in your sports performance, in your daily activities. So this is why we need to do this every single day. I really suggest doing it in the morning, but you can do it at any point. Just really be in control and understand that you are working at the widest range of motion in that control. Controlled articular rotations. We like to call these CARs. This is what you need to do every single day. The basic CARs are going to be all of your joints being able to rotate and move properly so that you can find the biggest workspace within them. When you have the biggest workspace within your joints, you can build a stronger connective tissue. Controlled articular rotations in the neck need to be more controlled than just a roll. So you are going to really imagine all of your cervical spine, okay? As you do this, I want you to make sure that your body is still. You have pressure and strength within your whole body. Think 30 to 50% of really strong strength within your whole body, grounding yourself. Once you get that 30 to 50% of strength in your body, I want you to imagine your disc rolling over as much as they can. But I do not want your body to come with you. I don't want your shoulders to come with you. I just want your cervical spine to do all of this work. No rocking, no leaning, just your neck. When you come to your full length, you can't get any more length at all. You cannot imagine curling that cervical spine anymore. You are going to rotate. That does not mean that we are going to round our head. It means we are going to try and keep our head still and rotate it on that cervical spine. Finding the thoracic spine is pretty hard, but that's what we're going to be doing. So what we're going to do is we are going to try and round that thoracic spine as much as we can. Not with the shoulders, just imagine the spine. And then we're going to try and rotate that spine as much as we can. And then we're going to try and flex that spine back while rotate it as much as we can. And then we are going to rotate again. It is a rotate, it's not a swing over. We are going to imagine the thoracic spine rotating over, flexing back, and then rounding back around. We're going to do this both ways, of course, but really be mindful of your back. Be mindful that you are not using your lower lumbar and swinging around in your hips. You are just focusing on your thoracic. When we are doing the thoracic spine, you want to make sure that your lower lumbar is stable and we're not swinging and falling into the hips. We want to make sure just the lower lumbar, about mid-rib up to your neck, is moving. In a rotation, we do not want to sway. Okay, so keep a nice stable base. Take a big breath of air in, let it all out, put that pressure in there. Try and round just the thoracic spine. Now we're going to rotate. We're rotating. We are not shifting to our hip. And then we are going to flex our thoracic spine as much as we can in this rotation. Once you have reached full flexion, you are going to rotate. Once you have reached full flexion and rotation, you are going to round. Rotate to center. We want to make sure that our arm is straight the entire time. So locked out elbow. You want to make sure that you're not bringing your head to your shoulder and you don't want your scapula coming up with you. Make sure it's just the shoulder joint. Take a big breath of air in. Let it all out. Create that tension. Straight arm coming across the body. Once you get to the furthest point you can go without being able to put your scapula into it, you are going to internally rotate your shoulder as much as you can. And you're going to keep internally rotating that shoulder as much as you can as you go back. Try not to open up to it. Make sure that your headlights are facing forward. And you're going to come with your hand beside you. When we go back, we want to make sure that our palm is facing out and we are internally rotating that shoulder and then going up as much as we can until we have to externally rotate that shoulder. And then come back up into our flexion. I'm going to show you from the side without all of the movement. the scapula. We are going to lift, but we are not going to bring it in with our neck, and we are not going to use the shoulder. We are going to think of just the scapula. So get a nice strong base and find scapula elevation, retraction, depression, protraction. The elbow. Okay, so we have a supination when we are over. My elbow has supinated. I am not focusing on my wrist and I am not focusing on my shoulder. It is just the elbow. I'm going to supinate my elbow as much as I can, and I'm going to bring it in and up as much as I can. I am now supinated to my full extent in my elbow. My shoulder and my wrist are not doing this movement. I am then going to pronate with my elbow. So we have supinate with the elbow, makes this bicep, and then we have pronating with the elbow that really makes this forearm want to come out. Once I pronate as much as I can, I am going to extend. And then I am going to think of just the elbow, not the shoulder, not the wrist, and supinate as much as I can. Keep supinating, bringing it in as much as you can. It's really good to put your fingers on your elbow. It will act as feedback so that you know that just your elbow is doing the supination and the pronation. Our wrist and not using our elbow. Our elbow wants to take over and our wrist doesn't want to do the work. So focus on the wrist joint. I don't want any leaning in this, so don't put your elbow in your hip and lean over. I want you to have a nice sturdy base. Nothing is falling in. We are just extending from the wrist as much as we can. No mutation in the hand. Coming towards the inline, rotating up, and towards the thumb. Make sure you have something to hold on to so that you don't have to focus on your balance and you can just focus on moving the hip joint properly. When we do this, we are going to lift up our leg, okay? So we're not going to hunch over to it. We're simply going to keep a nice strong base, so not a super bend and not super locked out, but a nice strong base and a strong foundation so that we can just lift the leg as high as we can. No hunching over, lifting the leg as high as we can, and we are then going to externally rotate the hip, just opening up the leg. We want to make sure that this hip doesn't follow, so really have your sturdy ground. Up, externally rotate that hip as much as you can until you cannot externally rotate anymore. From there, we are going to kick our heel up, which is an internal rotation of the hip. When you cannot bring that hip up any further, we're going to kick it back and open up as far as we can, not arching the back. That's why we have the stability here, and then sliding back in and down. First, you want to know that your kneecap can move, okay? So you want to pull the skin back, and we want to push that kneecap over, push it down, push it to the inside, and push it up. You can follow your finger around and just let it circle around within that. Our patella is a joint that just floats, so it's allowed to move around. We want it to move around. For your knee cars, you're going to pick up your leg and you can hold it and hang it with two hands, or you can place your hand underneath and your arm. For knee cars, you can grab your leg and hold it and flex it up, or you can take your arm underneath and place your hand on top. This is what I like the most. It feels the most comfortable for me. You're gonna flex your foot up. As you can see my tibia. My tibia should be moving. We want this bone to move. So you are going to think of moving that tibia all the way out as far as you can into external rotation. You're then going to kick up while keeping that external rotation, and then you are going to rotate that tibia in as much as you can and lower down. And then you're going to reverse. Keeping that tibia in, you're going to come up, really forcing the tibia in, and then rotate and externally rotate that tibia and come down. If you're hearing any crunching and noise in your knee, that's perfectly fine as long as it is not in pain. The noise is just things floating and grinding around. So externally rotate that tibia, kick it up, internally rotate that tibia as much as you can, and come back down. For the ankle, you want to make sure that the shin is not moving. So you want to place your hand on that shin. You can do 2 fingers. I like to put my whole hand on there for a lot of feedback. You're going to flex just the ankle. So really focus on the ankle doing everything. You're going to flex it up as high as you can. Really think of extending through your heel. Everything is peeling out of this ankle bone and coming off as you flex up. Once you flex up, you're going to try and rotate it. So you're going to go as far in as you can and down as much as you can.